What up, man? It's your boy Vigilante Styles here. Guess what happened today, man? So, I found out, everybody was telling me this morning that SSL bought Harrison. What? You heard it right. SSL bought the Harrison Consoles company. So what does that mean for us Mixbus users? Well, here's the thing that I've had, and you've probably seen this in other videos. I'll mix in Harrison Mixbus for a while, and then I'll go back to like using SSL plugins or like SSL emulations because I like the SSL sound. I do, and Harrison is cool and all, but I really like the SSL sound. I like that upfront, that aggression that the SSL consoles, the 4000 series consoles had, at least the plug-in versions of them. So I'm always, going back and forth. I love the workflow. I love the sound and everything of Harrison Mixbus, but then I go, use SSL. Well, now that SSL has bought Harrison, does that mean we're going to have an SSL Mixbus? God, I hope so, man. Let me tell you, for one, like when I said in my other video, when I said fuck SSL, it was because of subscription models, right? But I found out that they actually are now doing both, where you can get subscription if you want it, or you can get licenses, perpetual licenses if you want, for like the 4KB plugin, which for the longest was just subscription only, and now you can actually purchase it. Well, and I always like the way that Harrison does their licensing. You get the software, and you keep what you buy. You know what I'm saying? And you get you don't have to go through all this licensing hell, right? And if they upgrade to a new version, I know Mac users really have to go through this hell when their Macintosh OS updates, and then all their plugins and software don't work from the previous version. They have to go upgrade to a new version, and that's why they would prefer free updates and stuff like that for the Mac users. Whereas Windows, we go through updates, and don't get me wrong, Windows updates can really fuck a computer up from time to time, but for the most part, we don't have to go through that nearly as often. For instance, I'm running versions of Mixbus that worked on like version 10, Windows 10 and stuff, and they work on Windows 11. But now, of course, I upgraded to 9, and 9 is really good. But now, I'm really eager now for SSL Mixbus, and so I'm kind of like want to know what that might sound like. Maybe I can give them ideas. I know they watch. I know Harrison watches the videos, and now those guys are probably SSL guys now. So they're watching. And since they're watching, here's some ideas. So this is an idea that I came up with here. I figured they're probably going to put this guy in the mix somewhere, right? The Channel Strip 2 is probably going to be a part of the SSL Mixbus if they make it. Which I think it would be really good to have that in place of the Harrison channel strip. But I don't want it to look like this. I want it to look like this. I want it like the Harrison does, right? I want basically the knobs. I think they should put the colors on it, like they do on the real console. So, instead of just white buttons, but the colors that they had on the SSL console. That would be cool. But like here, like these colors, red, green, blue, black, right? Black knob, brown knob, EQ, whatever. The gates and all this other stuff. I like the gate that they have here. I think the Harrison gate is fire. Like, just leave that one in, to serve as the gating purpose. The compressor. Now here's a love-hate relationship with this compressor. This compressor sounds nice, but it's soft sounding, and the SSL channel compressors were very aggressive sounding. So I'm going to opt for a SSL channel compressor here. 32C EQ is wonderful. It's beautiful. But since we're talking SSL Mixbus, SSL EQ. E and G EQs. So E, I don't know, maybe somewhere on here they could probably put like I can hit. I guess it would be a G EQ by default, and then you could hit E. Like that's how they've been doing things. So there on that. But where they have the drive knob here? I went into. I know I'm using Analog Obsession here for this one pre-box, but they have the SSL 9000 line amplifier. Now, of course, SSL, just model your own, right? Like, don't take this guy's stuff and throw it in there, unless you want to pay him. Pay him for it. Hey, there you go. There's an idea, SSL. Just buy it from this guy. And the guy who did it, who modeled the SSL 9000 preamp, just pay him for it and then slap it into SSL Mixbus. So, the line, because I'm figuring one version of it's going to be like 9000, right? It's going to be based on modern sounding stuff, right? Origin, you name it. But I think that the SSL 9000 line amplifier is a good match for this drive. Now, also, the buses, tape saturation on buses, I mean, they could do that, or they could throw SSL's X saturator in the buses. Give me a second. And then let me see what else. I think the X saturator would work. I mean, tape saturation is cool, but I've never really thought that this saturation really sounded like tape to me. It sounds good, it just doesn't sound like tape, you know? Like, sounds like just saturation. So, I mean, okay, so that's what tape is, but I mean, I don't hear like tape artifacts and stuff, you know? So, as cool as that sounds, I guess what they mean by that is this is probably even harmonics. That's cool. Hey, you know, like the duality, they have like the thing where you can choose between the second and third harmonics thing or whatever. They could probably slap that on the master bus here. So in a way, this would be kind of like a duality. Cool. I can dig it. The bus compressor here from Harrison, while decent, is it's not an SSL bus compressor. It's not as fast on the release as an SSL bus compressor. So I'd prefer that they just go and slap their own SSL bus compressor in there. Have the oversampling. I guess, you know, some people don't have great computers, so I guess leave it like it is where you can choose it. Like turn knob and then get 4x oversampling. But yeah, that would be great. The K14 meter is nice. I think they should keep that. I think they should keep the stereo correlation meter. I think they can do away with the 3-band EQ on the master bus because on a real SSL console they don't have that. So they could probably do away with it, or they could keep it. It's not really a big deal. But I think they can probably get rid of it on the master bus. On the buses here, the 3-band EQ is cool, but I think people are probably going to want this to be more like a real SSL, so probably 4-band EQ here. On the bus, I think that's how the buses are. I don't know. Anybody who works on real SSLs, drop a comment. Tell me if they have a 4-band EQ on the buses. Yeah, and the metering is cool. Like, I guess maybe they can make it a little sexier, you know, with their SSL graphic dudes. They could probably make this a little cooler looking. But overall, don't sacrifice functionality just to make it look cool. I like this too. I've been using the monitor section. I found out how important that is. Apparently on real consoles it's a very important thing because we have mono, we have dim. I know that they have that on SSL consoles, so definitely leave that in there. I like the ability to switch through different parts of the channel strip, so that for people who have smaller screens, like probably most of us, we don't need to like scroll down and scroll up kind of thing. It's much more intuitive to do it this way, just to give us a different section of the channel as something we can see here. And then, of course, just laid out like this. Now, if they want to go like all out, you know, channel tolerances, right? Like you could do, or crosstalk emulation. That would be kind of cool. Like Studio One has for the, what is that thing now? The, the solid state space thingy, Mix Effects. Yeah, if they have it from Mix Effects, then I was thinking they could do something like that, because I know that Harrison overall has some DSP control over the entire architecture of the workstation. I think SSL is going to want to do something with that to make it sound like an SSL console. Ultimately, we want it to sound as close to an SSL console as possible. I would like to stop using my separate plugins, I would, and be able to just to have a SSL in front of me. That would be fire. But I would like, now here's some money-making tips. Give us different versions of SSL, because we know that the different SSL consoles kind of have a different flavor, right? So for the old school guys and the guys that want that aggression, that grit, and that crunch of the old SSL consoles, give us an SSL 4000 Mixbus. Then for the ones who want that modern sound, they're doing trap and drill music and all this other stuff, or maybe just they like the modern sound, they want cleaner sounding, mixes or whatnot, with less saturation and more precise, sounding EQ in terms of like just, more sharpness, more brightness out of their mixes and stuff, and more headroom. Then we can do an SSL 9000 Mixbus. Whoa, or SSL Mixbus 9000, SSL Mixbus 4000. Those ideas I'm coming up with, and then of course they can make a brand new one just based on all the best features of both versions, and maybe even the best versions of Harrison, and just put that together and make a Frankenstein, brand new SSL in the box console, the SSL 10,000 Mixbus, which is like the new version of everything, just upgraded everything, SSL understands that EQ cramping is a problem, so that obviously I know that they're not going to have cramping EQs. So I think that it's going to be a really, really cool thing. I think the 360 plug-in mixer, while it looks cool for SSL, I think it sucks functionality-wise. And I think that they did a smart move by buying Harrison, and now they have the ability to have access to Harrison Mixbus and its entire, what do they call it? Proprietary, code and whatever, so now they can build an SSL this way. And dude, I'm telling you right now, man, it's the Pro Tools killer. That will be the Pro Tools killer. Pro Tools is industry standard, so is SSL, right? So in this case, SSL will now be industry standard also in software, and they have a lot of great software. They can integrate a lot of that new stuff like the Fusion. Oh my god, I didn't even think about that, dude. They could put the Fusion on the master bus. Oh, fuck. Dude, you know what I'm saying? I know that now the price is going to be probably a little bit worse. Like, okay, get this, right? Harrison Mixbus usually retails for $350, and if you've been a Mixbus user, or for at least for the 32C version, if you've been a 32C user or whatever, they're really nice to you, and they give you an upgrade for like $79 or $100 or whatever. I would love it if they kept that pricing, but we know it's SSL. We know damn good and well they're not going to keep that pricing. Okay, it's like we know who they are. Their brand. They built their brand up. Their brand is really associated with must-have industry standard, stuff in the business. You're not a real engineer if you're not using SSL. I think Pro Tools sucks, right? And I think everybody to by now thinks Pro Tools is trash. And I'm glad that SSL will throw their hat in the game, hopefully in the DAW department, which would probably destroy Pro Tools. I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, dude, any studio is going to go, dude, I use the SSL DAW. I don't use Pro Tools anymore. That's old school shit. And because ultimately that's what people were using Pro Tools for. They were, in almost every big mixer is recreating consoles, right, in their workstation. They're using channel strips for most of everything that they do. Serban does it. Serban Gania, is doing that with the Metric Halo channel. And probably, who knows what he's using now. I mean, we know he used to use the Metric Halo channel, and they say that they still use it to this day, but I don't know. If something like this comes along, I mean, I'm thinking he'll probably, you never know. He might switch if it's good enough. And there's a lot of big mixers will probably go to this. And this will be the de facto standard, because if you're a mix engineer, you're just going to mix on an SSL console, and you're going to mix on your virtual SSL made by SSL, right? There you go. And that's it. It's going to kill the plugins. It is. It's going to kill the plugin industry too. At least SSL console emulations. Why the hell would anybody buy one of those when you could just get this? Get the full SSL experience. They can do more now than they could do with their plugins. They can really, really give you the true SSL sound by being able to have the entire audio DSP and all the stuff like that, and architecture of the entire DAW within their control. So some people are like, oh, I don't think it's going to kill Pro Tools if it's based on Ardour, right? Or whatever, however you say that, Ardour, Ardour, Ardaw. It's one of the three, right? Or four, or however many I just did. But I think that I'm gonna call it Ardour. Okay, that's what it looks like to me. Okay, and I'm American, so unfortunately, I'm gonna mispronounce things. But it looks like Ardour, right? And the editing in Ardour seems to be okay. Like, it's not bad, and so they have other features too that, like, I think that make editing much easier here than in Pro Tools. So, and plus, I mean, come on, right? You guys can just open up Pro Tools and just take a look at some of the features, or listen to the feedback that people have had about features about Pro Tools that maybe Pro Tools is not offering or whatever, and make sure that it's in here. And I think, because now that they just acquired Harrison, I mean, come on, I'm thinking within a year we're going to have SSL Mixbus, or 2 years we're going to have SSL Mixbus. And when we do, it's going to be the shit. This is already the shit, but once again, who knows about Harrison? Like, that's really most people they don't know that brand, you know, so they don't even realize this badass thing exists. So it's like, and it doesn't have the same ring to most people as, like, you know, Neve and SSL. Well, everybody knows Neve and SSL. I mean, even guys who are just barely starting to mix records, they're like, oh, SSL console. Oh, yeah, you know. So that's another thing, too. SSL is going to make a ton of money off their name, but then also this DAW will be it. It'll be the thing. I predict it'll be the thing. I think it's the Pro Tools killer. If they put what we have here, we've been playing around with as Harrison Mixbus dudes for the longest, and then they throw the SSL name into it with this functionality and the SSL sound, that's it. Game over, man. They win Monopoly, right? They win the Monopoly game. That's it. Everybody's going to have to fold their whatever, throw their cards in and call it a day. Say, I give up. I declare bankruptcy. SSL wins. You know? So anyway, let's get into a mix. I'm going to go mix this with this idea behind it so we can have an idea of what we think that this SSL Mixbus might sound like, you know, and maybe give them some ideas as to how to dress this thing up. I'm probably not going to use the buses on this one because I think busing is really more so for grouping large amounts of instruments, and this is just a beat. Come on, I don't need to group anything. So we're going to just go with a really basic sound. And I'm going to show, like, why I think they should have, instead of this drive that they have here, they should have an actual SSL 9K line amplifier in the drive section. And I'm not using X Saturate. I'm going to leave the tape drive that they have here in Harrison. I think that's good enough. And we're just going to use basically SSL stuff in Harrison Mixbus 32C so that we can have an idea of what SSL Mixbus is going to sound like. And who knows if they're going to call it SSL Mixbus. They might call it something else, but it'll basically be SSL Mixbus. So anyway, let's get going. Let's do this. Sound pretty decent, huh? So, what I like about this possibility, right, that they would upgrade Harrison Mixbus into SSL Mixbus. I think that I wanted to show that the SSL line amplifier is adding something to the sound, right? That's the first thing. I think that why that's important, that should be on the channels, because we want to be able to drive the signal in and get some nice sounding harmonics. I think after that too, then the channel strip. With the channel strip, they would probably know the right place. I'm putting the line amp before everything, but I don't know if that's really the way that they do it, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. They know SSL knows what they're doing, right? And then the SSL native channel sounds good. It's very clean, right? It's a very clean sounding channel. I think the nice thing is if I can drive some harmonics into it first and then into the channel, it sounds really good. Bear in mind that the drums that I used here, I actually ran through a hardware 1176 first. So, because I made a drum kit around that. Speaking about that, if you guys want that drum kit, let me know. I'll send it. But if you guys want it, because I took it, what I did is I took those are actual like stock FL Studio drums, and I ran them through a hardware 1176, so not a plug-in, a hardware version, 1176, and then I made a drum kit around those, and so then I was like, well, why not make a beat with it, you know? And so they already had some really nice sounding, you know, transformer saturation and compression already on the drums, but you know. We want what the SSL is doing, right? Make it more up front, and that's what it did. It took things and made things up front. That was kind of a pet peeve a little bit with the Harrison Mixbus 32C, is it didn't have an upfront sound, but SSL always does, and I think it's due to the compressor, to be honest, because when I use the compressor is always grabby. It's always making things bigger, and that's what I always like about SSL, is that things always tend to be bigger. Now, I'm picky, though. I like the sound of the 4000 series, at least on the plugins. That's why I use the Brainworks ones a lot. But if they can give me that sound that I'm basically doing with the Brainworks, or their version with the 4KB, because the 4KB sounds really good. If they can do that, and they put that in here, sold, right? Sold. It's a game changer. End of the world. It's the ultimate like nuclear weapon to the audio industry. Pro Tools is going to be scrambling. They're going to be filing for bankruptcy. It's going to be over for for them, because not just for 4KB, but I mean, like they said, like they do both. Put the 9000 channel strip in there too, for people who need the clean sound, and then for people who want some grunge, a little, you know, whatever, and that kind of that old school flavor, give us the 4KB also in the SSL Mixbus. Holy fucking shit, dude, that would be it, right? The bus compressor, like I said, the bus compressor was already acting on the signal, so that means that my signal was coming in hot. So we need some kind of like trim knob on the master bus we have a trim knob here. Stupid, right? Well, I don't know where really, if that's on the input or whatever, but yeah, I guess I could have used a trim knob there. But oh well, it was gluing right at where I wanted it, so I guess it's fine. If I felt it was worse or whatever, I can back off on the trim. So there you go. I like the mixer scenes. They have the mixer scenes, the recall scenes. That's a great thing they need to carry over to SSL Mixbus. And otherwise, and then of course the monitor section. You saw how I used it. Why did I use the monitor section? Because there was a couple of reasons. For one, I have a shit room. That's the first thing. So sometimes when I'm setting volumes and stuff, for one, I want to hear how things are going to be in mono. So I like to be able to monoize it, right? But not affect the mix, right? That's why we like the monitor section. And then dimming the mix. So dimming it, bringing it down 12 decibels in this case, or whatever decibels you want to set it at. I like that. So you can bring it down to a certain level, and you get a different perspective on your mix when it's lower. And you're like, oh, I realize that some instruments are really popping out that really shouldn't be as much as they are. And it helps me get a better mix balance. And it kind of somewhat takes a little bit of the room out of the equation because it's not so loud. So, and then I bring it back up so I can, hear everything loud and feel it and hear the music bouncing off the walls and whatnot. So anyhow, that's what I think. I think that this marriage, or not really a marriage, but basically SSL has chewed up and swallowed Harrison into itself and now made it a part of itself. I like, I mean, I got some, fears about this new thing, but I also have a lot of optimism. I think the SSL company, in a lot of ways, is similar to the Harrison company. I think they definitely need Harrison's customer service like that. They have excellent customer service. I think SSL needs to make sure that they have that in place. But also the fact that, Harrison also listens to the people about the product. And I'm hoping that SSL will do the same. And I think they have, to a degree. I mean, it takes them a while to deal with our complaints, but eventually the complaint department does hear our problems, and they do try to address them to give us a good product. So overall, I feel like SSL acquiring Harrison is a good thing. And I'm also, like I said, once again, I'm hoping that SSL doesn't go down the way of like they were doing. Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. They were doing this with the 4KB plugin, and that pissed me off with SSL, was that they made it subscription only for a while. I don't want anything subscription only. You could put a subscription to it, but I want to be able to buy it if I got the money to buy it. All right. If for other people who just want to get into it and they just don't have the money to buy it right out, but they still want to be able to have access to it, they need it or whatever, then good for them to have a subscription model. But somebody like me, I'm not saying I'm rich or anything, but I mean, a lot of us, we have a budget that we put away, for our stuff, especially if it's your business. It's a business expense. If you're in the business, you want to own the license to your software and stuff. So just a person like me, I'm not a business per se, but I'm just like, the thought, that I own it, that I don't have to make payments on this every month, that I actually own this, and as long as my OS can support it, I own this, I'm good, And later on, if I feel like upgrading because there's something really new, something really good. I think for existing users, I like the idea of making it cheaper for existing users to upgrade, and for brand new users to probably have to pay full price or decide if they don't want to pay full price to get into the subscription model. Or rent to own, that's another thing. Rent to own's another idea where technically they may be in the long run paying a little more than they would have if they had the money outright to get it, but at the same time, it's a lot easier on their pocketbook when they're making small payments toward eventually owning it. I think that's another way for SSL to make money and not look scummy, Make money, but don't look scummy. That's the key here. And I think that I know that Harrison watches my videos, a couple of their reps do, and now that their reps are, I suppose now part of SSL, they're taking notes. And I figured I need to make this video so that we can have an idea of what SSL Mixbus should bring to the table. And then we'll be really happy. I mean, do we love the Harrison version? Sure we do. Yeah. Of course we do. But, I can't... Harrison's really good, man, but I can't put it on everything. It's kind of like, I don't know, I like chocolate, but I can't put that on everything. I can't put that on pizza. I mean, I guess there's some people who do chocolate pizza, but not me, right? It's like, sometimes Harrison vibe works for certain types of material and other types, SSL, and I do hip hop music, so I need more of the SSL sound, right? I need more of the upfront, the more punchy, the grabby compressor and the bus compressor with a very fast release. I need stuff like that. Rock and roll is that way too. They need aggressiveness, and SSL is all about aggressive sound. At least it used to be. I don't know. The modern sound is a little brittle to me, but whatever. They could smooth it out. They got ways to smooth that out. So they could borrow a little bit of what Harrison does to smooth out those sounds, so that then you get the best of both worlds. And I think this turned out really good. This mix sounds really, really nice. It's making me think about things, until this SSL Mixbus happens, that maybe I'm already somewhat using SSL Mixbus by doing it this way. And I've also shown that you guys can use it this way. You don't have to use the 360 plugin mixer, which is a pretty piece of shit, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. It sucks. but it's beautiful, right? And I also think though that they can integrate the UF8 and UC1 into this. Shit, man, that's it, man. It's game fucking over, man. Goodbye, Pro Tools. Good riddance, motherfuckers. You know, you know, because ultimately, what's going to be the industry standard, right? Everybody's using SSL, right? That's always been the industry standard. So now they go SSL workstation that works with their, you know, all their DAW controllers and shit. And it sounds like an SSL. And if you don't have the DAW controllers and you want to be mouse and keyboard man mixing like I am, you still get the SSL experience, the mix, and you still get an SSL sound in the end. Come on, dude, game over. Pro Tools is gone. Goodbye, Pro Tools, and all the elitists that use it. They can all go fuck off, you know, like, you know, that's what I think, you know. And we can all be using the new industry standard, SSL Mixbus, right? So anyway, if you guys like my videos, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you guys like my mixes and stuff, you know, definitely you can hit me up. I'll mix your record for you. I have good prices. I'm on engineers.com/Vigilante Styles. Go look me up. I'm doing $100 mixes, whether you have individual tracks or if you're just sending a stereo beat file and you want your vocals mixed to that. I can do that. $100, flat fee. Let's get it. I can also do some discounts. I think right now there's a 20% discount for people who actually get on engineers.com, and you can get 20% off. There's a code you have to put in, which I think is like, God. You know, why did I say that in this video and I don't even remember the stupid code? Oh. Well, anyway, I'll go look it up. Okay, check it out. If you hit me up for mixing, I will go look up the code for you. I'll give it to you. And plus, I can also give you discounts. So I can even create my own. So if I can't find it for whatever reason, I'll create one just for you. And we can work out something that's well within your budget. If you got like a album that you want to do or whatever, I can cut you deals and stuff. It's not just, but otherwise it's $100, you know, for most people, for me to mix your song. It's just mixing though. There's no mastering. They got mastering guys on engineers.com, so look for them, and a lot of pros are on here. Speaking about pros, there's a lot of pros. They go through a long, lengthy vetting process, and boy, did they vet me, man. It took like a year of vetting before I got onboarded. So I'm just telling you, like, they know. So I'm just telling you, even if you don't use me per se, the engineers that are on Engineers, like ears, ding ding, engineers.com, those people are well vetted, and they're very, very professional, and they're very, very good at what they do. So even if you don't use me, you're always going to get a good sound with no matter what engineer you use on engineers.com. So also do that. I think that's about all I have for today. So you guys be good, man. It's time for me to go touch grass. It's your boy Vigilante Styles, man, and I'm out. Peace.